I want to talk about some details behind club members today in ACMS. I've got my ACMS screen up and loaded. I've logged in. My home club is set up here, and I've got some users. These are false users that I've just set up for this demo. First thing I wanted to show was how you add and remove members. So for example, if I wanted to add a new member, what I would do here is go to this AMA number input area and just begin typing in the AMA number of the person I'm looking for. When I do that, I'll see a list of AMA numbers come up here. These are the club members that ACMS already knows about as members, either from prior years in your club, or they belong to another club and maybe now they've come to your club to join, and that's all fine. If you find their AMA number in here, you can just click on it. Like, this is the person I want to add, 12001. When I do that, I'll say add member. First thing you notice is newly added members always come to the top of the list. So that's how you can find the member that you just newly added. Now, once you go to other tabs and come back to members, they will go to their regular sort order. But immediately after adding them, you'll see that they come to the top of the list. Now, you'll also notice that because ACMS knew them from some other club or from somewhere, ACMS filled out the first name, the last name, the email address, and all their demographics. Of course, all these are fake now, but anyway, that's fine. So that's adding a member that ACMS already knows about. If you try to add a member and it's an AMA number, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, ACMS doesn't know of that AMA number, then what will happen is, similar to knowing the member, when you add it, the newly added member will come up to the top of the list. However, you'll see nothing is provisioned for that member. ACMS doesn't know that member. So you would just typically go in here and start adding their name. And on and on and on. Things like that. Removing a member, let's get rid of this. Removing a member is simply you find the member you want to remove, click the remove button. ACMS will say, are you sure you want to do this? And you say, yeah, go ahead. Then that member gets removed. Now, you'll notice that here in the officers, I've got myself listed as the only officer of this club. So if I try to remove myself, it says, are you sure you want to remove this member? Okay, yeah, go ahead and remove him. It says, this guy's an officer and can't be removed. Let's take another look at that. Okay, you'll get an error. This guy's an officer and can't be removed from the club. So you can't remove officers from the club. In order to do that, you would have to remove them from being an officer, then come back to members here, and then remove them from the member list. Now, I also wanted to talk about what it means here when ACMS says 1 paid member, 4 non-paid lapsed members. What you'll notice here is I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members here, and 4 of them have a problem here. And this problem is typically due to something in their provisioning where ACMS doesn't currently view them as a paid club member yet. And the reason is because they don't have any club dues set, and even if I do say, okay, well, they've paid annual dues, there's still a problem in that you haven't told me what date they've paid yet. So there's still 4 non-paid members. If I say, okay, well, they paid today, then there's still another problem. You haven't told me how they paid. And in this case, if I say they paid by cash, now all of a sudden I've got 2 paid members and 3 non-paid members. It's important to understand that these non-paid lapsed members The reasoning behind all that is that when a new club is created for next year, all the existing members will be moved over, and they'll be set as not paid. And then when your dues delinquent month comes out, all the lapsed members will get an email that says, hey, you haven't joined the club again. Are you sure you don't want to join? So they'll get that email. Let's talk a little bit more about club dues. There's also this notion of a club dues payer, which, and if you notice if you hover over the title, it'll give you some help there. So this is a family member that pays the member club dues. So in this case, let's say that David Smith here is a flyer, and he's the father of Johnny Smith and Sally Smith. So what we would do is, if David Smith pays a family rate, then what happens is Sally Smith comes through as a family member on David Smith, and Johnny Smith comes through as a member on David Smith. Now notice there's still lapsed members and nobody's paid any dues yet, but in this case, let's say David Smith finally pays his family dues. So he pays the family plan. So now what that means is Sally Smith and Johnny Smith are going to be members when I say that David Smith has paid his family plan on that day. Well, and actually, I mean, that's actually enough to say that he's a paid member. You've told me when he's paid. Notice there's still a problem in that you haven't told me how he's paid. Let's just say that he's also paid by cash. So now we've got 5 paid members, 3 people. We've got 2 annual dues payers, 1 person who's paid a family plan, and Sally Smith and Johnny Smith have come through David Smith's family plan, and we've got 5 paid members. That's a little bit about how, in detail, club members work, how you add them, how you delete them, how ACMS recognizes them as paid members or not. Now remember, automated emails only go out to paid members, and that's true for the most part. I mean, like I said earlier, non-paid lapsed members will get an email that their club membership is lapsed. So there are a few emails that non-paid members get, but for the most part, it's all set up around sending paid members, things like whether or not meeting reminders, whether or not their AMA license is up to date, and things like that. I wanted to so we talked a little bit about here members. We talked about dues, and don't forget the way you can add dues is typically clubs have complex dues structures. You can always add dues by just clicking the Add Dues button and say, okay, well, we also have junior dues, a junior membership, and their rate is $25. And let's say we also have senior dues, and their rate is $40. So now we've got all these dues that we can, when we go to members, we can say that, okay, has this guy paid annual, family plan, junior, senior, or what? Because now we've got all these dues in the database. Last thing I wanted to talk about was way off to the right here, this notion of members alias band. So as you recall, one of the features of ACMS is that there's an email alias that any club member can send an email to send an email to all members of the club. But sometimes, and by the way, you can get more help on that. If you click Help, and then you click on Email Aliases, this is what I'm talking about, is the member email alias list. So the point is that it is possible to have a club member that could misuse this member's alias. So they could, for example, slam some other member in front of everybody else through the club member's alias, so everybody gets an email of some club member being slammed by some other club member. Hopefully that never happens to you, but if it does, let's say Sally Smith here slam somebody, slam, I don't know, her dad or something like that, who knows. So you can come through here and ban them from using the member's alias. And what this does, it prevents them from getting any emails if anybody else uses a member's email alias. And it also prevents this particular club member from being able to send any new emails over to the club alias. Now remember, members can also, if you go to club email ignore, member email ignore, members can also unsubscribe from the email alias. And so what that means is, okay, member email alias. So if a member wants to unsubscribe from that, what that means is that they won't receive any more emails. If some club member sends an email to that email alias, they wanted to send it to all members of the club, but this member has unsubscribed from that. Let's say this member unsubscribes from it. Now they won't receive any emails that are sent out over that email alias. Now remember, they haven't been banned, so that they can still actually send mails to the email alias, and all the club members will receive that email, but they're not allowed, they won't receive any more emails. They've unsubscribed from it. So that's a little bit about the email alias, how members can get banned from the email alias, and I hope that never happens to your club, but nevertheless, that's in here. And that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. A little bit of detail about how members work and how you want to make sure that your paid members are in fact recognized as paid by ACMS, and what it means to have a non-paid and lapsed member. A little bit also about how family plan dues work. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you on the next video.